Yes, John Bender persuaded me to do this presentation, thinking it was related to folklore. And it is. There is a category in folklore studies called conspiracy theory, but it's been a very minor interest. Nowadays, it's really studied by people from the field of social psychology, which I am not from. So all of this stuff I learned by reading, and you can too if you want to.
Sucker.
Angela Merkel is the daughter of Adolf Hitler. Chuck E. Cheese sells day-old pizza. The Holocaust is a hoax. Sandy Hook was a government plot to advance gun control, or it may never have happened. 9/11 was a government organized plot to prevent a new world monetary order. A suppressed monetary order will give each person $250,000. The deep state is full of Satanists and pedophiles. George Soros and Bill and Hillary Clinton are drug users and pedophiles. Bill and Hillary Clinton ordered the murder of their friends Seth Rich and Vince Foster. Genetically modified crops, of course, are harmful to us. Vaccines cause autism. Fluoride is a government plot. Just ask the people in Milford. Pharmaceutical companies hold back easy and cheap cures for cancer and other diseases so they can make profit on the current ones. COVID was a Chinese plot. China is behind the surge of illegal immigrants. Russian interference has helped Trump. The Democratic government spikes Trump's drinks. That's why he says such dumb things. Arab Americans celebrated the Twin Towers collapse in 9/11. The victim in Charlottesville had a heart attack. She wasn't hit by the car. The government covers up alien visitation and, of course, UFOs, unidentified flying objects. The beautiful children of Harry and Meghan are dolls, or they're somebody else's children, because they're not Black, of course. So they're perfect white children, couldn't be theirs. The moon landing was faked. Obama, of course, we all know, is Muslim and was not born in the United States. The earth is really flat.
I was just thinking that.
We know that there was a big crash of aliens in Roswell, New Mexico, that the government has always covered up. The levee in New Orleans that was broken in Katrina was actually broken by government bombing. Latin American governments are sending their criminals to the United States. Elvis is still alive. Biden is played by several different masked actors. Beyonce is not Black, she's Italian. Bill Gates' vaccine program in Africa is actually intended to devastate the population. The CIA created AIDS to depopulate the gay people and African Americans. Chobani yogurt imports Syrian rapists to Idaho. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is government brainwashing. Cell phones cause cancer. Latrell cures cancer. Heavy metal music and Dungeons and Dragons are satanic. Planet Earth is hollow inside and habitable. We could live in the middle of the earth. There's a wealthy Jewish family that causes wildfires from space via space lasers. That one comes from Marjorie Taylor Greene. OpenAI might destroy humanity. The CIA planted crack in African-American communities to ruin them. The Clintons had John F. Kennedy murdered. The FBI is responsible for Martin Luther King's murder. The COVID vaccine contains aborted fetuses, material from aborted fetuses. Global warming, of course, is a hoax. FEMA is preparing concentration camps for the storm, which I will talk about later. There are some reptilian aliens who hold positions in our government. Well, I think 50 are enough, right? It's a ragtag bag of conspiracy theories, and some are different from others, of course. Some are trivial, silly. Others are very serious and scary. Some are fantastic, and some are possible. Some come and go, some will be forgotten tomorrow, and some have endured for many, many years. Some are personal and some are political. Many are political. And most of them are harmless, but some of them are extremely harmful to our situation today, and I will explain that. It's a definition that fits all of those, okay? But here it is, just a minute, before I get to the definition. You could say that those are rumors, and they are. Or we could call them alternative facts, some people, or fake news. Depends on your perspective. But we call them conspiracy theory. That term was first used in the United States in 1863, but it was popularized and promoted by the CIA after the Warren Commission report on the assassination of John F. Kennedy, when so many other opinions and solutions were offered. CIA called those conspiracy theories. And that term has been with us ever since. I have a definition on the screen for what it's worth. It's a belief that a small group of people are working in secret against our common good, whoever we are, to create harm, bring about some negative change in society, to seize power, or to hide some deadly or consequential secret. They don't all fit that definition. Here's another one. It's an explanation for an event or a situation that claims the existence of a conspiracy by powerful and sinister groups, often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. We could say factual. Notice that these all assume secrecy only a few people know the facts. Most of them see evil somewhere in the universe or in our culture. And many of them, as we will see, claim a kind of satanic influence behind the scenes in our culture. They're based on faith, not scientific or historical evidence. And they arise in the presence of some incomprehensible event or some technology that is so far beyond our everyday understanding. They see a pattern in life, meaning in life, not randomness, but they see forces at work. Now, this is human nature, and it always has been. Wherever human beings are, there are conspiracy theories. So there are historical precedents for our situation today. For instance, way back in the Roman Empire, Nero was accused of starting the fire that burned down Rome during his emperorship. Well, there's no evidence of that. In the Eastern Roman Empire, someone wrote a book about Empress Theodora's sex life. Well, based on rumors. In the Middle Ages, Christians claimed that Jews used the blood of Gentile infants in their secret rituals. Our founding fathers claimed that England was set on enslaving the colonists. So you can find conspiracy theories from all times. Let's see. Okay. Guess I can't raise that, can I? Okay, all right. Why do conspiracy theories thrive today? Well, we can imagine certain paranoid people, maybe some of our own friends, who fall for these notions that there's something out to get them or something secret going on that they cannot identify. But people who study this field say there is a significant section of our society nowadays, which is paranoid in that sense. It's a kind of cultural crisis, especially for a certain underclass of people who feel overwhelmed by things that they don't understand, whether that's the government or corporations or billionaire culture or globalization, which has affected them by taking away lower class working jobs. Things are out to get them. How about Bitcoin? Who understands Bitcoin? Who understands artificial intelligence and where that might lead us? I don't know what's going on in that regard. These people are uncertain, powerless, marginalized victims, have a sense of alienation from the world around them. They see a lot of corruption in the government. Many of us do, I think. It's a crisis of trust and legitimacy in the people who control our culture, including celebrities. Of course, everybody believes some conspiracy theory or the other. We'll talk about that later. Especially in this group of underclass people are conservative political thinkers, African Americans who feel besieged by the whole culture they're in, Hispanics, other people. There's some evidence that the wealthier you are, the more you are in a higher class, the less you believe in conspiracy theories. The more education you have, the less you believe. One study suggests that the older you get, the less you believe. But there's another study that says that conspiracy theories are especially present in people over 65. Do you? Also, new age people, new agers have these sort of fantasy or the speculative things about life, and they see things in different ways from us. Well, it's easy to say the reason we have conspiracy theories is social media. Blame it all on Facebook and YouTube and blogs and message boards and so on. Social media is just the messenger, you know. The messenger is not the problem. The substance is. The lives are, and the feelings are the problem. Or we could blame it on Russia, hackers in Russia, North Macedonia, or Romania. That would be easy to do. But say in terms of folklore, it's very different. Folklore emerges who knows how and is spread by oral means, person to person. We call it oral tradition. This is no longer oral tradition. This is media tradition. The transmission is different. The biggest difference is that there are people who create these conspiracy theories, and there are people who promote them for their benefit or political means. Normally, folklore is not characterized like that. So, field really is in the hands of political scientists and especially social psychologists. Beck should be up here. See how I'm. Okay, I want to talk about 5 major examples, and these are all because they have consequences in real life right now. Well, the one is over. Number 1, Pizzagate. You've heard of that, haven't you? Pizzagate. It started in 2016, just before the election of contest between Hillary Clinton and Mr. Trump. The woman who created the rumor is Cynthia Campbell. And it consists of the idea that Bill and Hillary Clinton are pedophiles, and in association with some celebrities such as Brad Pitt and others, have a headquarters at Comet Ping Pong Pizza Shop in Washington, D.C. Why that one? I don't know. Nobody knows. And that their headquarters is in the basement of that establishment. That's where the children are. And that's where all the sexual abuse takes place. Well, one father worried about his own daughter in this horrible culture, 28 years old, Edgar Madison Welch, drove 350 miles into Washington, D.C. with a gun, intending to get rid of those pedophiles. When he got there, he found that there were no children. In fact, that there was no basement. And has been in prison. So there's one conspiracy theory that was acted out by somebody and thwarted then by the legal system. Okay. Number 2, sorry, you can't see the whole screen. Yes, you can. Okay. The stolen election. We all know about that. That's not over, is it? No, not at all. And we're looking forward to the next election and fearing that it might be the same or worse. The interesting thing is it has a certain origin. Infowars.com is a fake news site. You can look it up. Interesting, very interesting. Infowars.com. In 1999, Alex Jones from Austin, Texas, had a radio station on which he sold health supplements. And he floated the idea that the next election would be rigged. Lo and behold, he was advisor to Trump. He was also an advisor to Nixon, sort of a dirty tricks man. Added to capitalize on that rumor, that idea. So Roger Stone promoted that in Trump's campaign. And the rest is history. I won't dwell on it. Fortunately, I guess, Jones was convicted, the origin of InfoWars, was convicted of defamation because he hounded those parents at Sandy Hook, claiming that it never happened, even while they were pressing their case against the gun manufacturers. In 2022, he was convicted of defamation and fined $1.487 billion, which he has never paid. He declared bankruptcy and is back selling health supplements. So he got his uppance, in a sense, for promoting that idea, although it's not finished. Next one, I think we don't know about, and it's called the storm. And it's related to the notion of the deep state. And it comes from the QAnon website. I suggest you look that up, QAnon, in 2017. Q is a person that nobody knows who he or she is. We've kept that secret. His only identity is this code. GB953QGI. And the people who are in on it know who that is, but it has never been revealed. Other people who add to the website have their own code number, okay? Q claims to be, quote, a military intelligence officer standing at the president's elbow. In other words, he's in charge of spying for the military, but he's very close to the person in charge, the president. He issues hints at midnight. On QAnon, there will appear a new hint in the morning about this or that. And it started with on October the 5th, 2017, the end of a meeting with his generals. Meeting was over and they were all standing there, and Trump said, "This is the calm before the storm." He didn't explain, nobody asked, and he said it again. This is the calm before the storm. Nobody asked, and he never explained, and nobody knows what he meant, if he meant anything. 3 weeks later, on QAnon, appeared this, what they call a drop, a hint. Between 7:45 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, the morning on October 30th, 2017. Starts with prediction that Hillary Clinton will be arrested. 5:17. Well, do you remember Trump's campaign? Lock her up, chant. And it followed with a more elaborate interpretation by people who read what they see and read into it and create more meaning out of those hints. And the prediction, which is yet to come, will be, quote, a great massacre for peace carried out by patriots on a mandate that supersedes the Constitution. In other words, a revolution, which will clean up the deep state of Satanists, that's part of their religion, and pedophiles, as well as every other corruption in the US government. It will be an inside job. People will be arrested and some people will be killed. National Guard will take over, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, this prediction has been elaborated and is now called the storm. Trump has on occasion said the storm is upon us. Well, they first predicted it would happen on October 30th, 2017. It didn't happen. And then they said it would happen on November 14th, 2017. Again, it failed. It's like the second coming, right? Jesus is going to come into the world and clean it up once and for all and get rid of Satan's control. It's sort of a Christian parallel. Well, those two dates, storm didn't arrive. So now they have put the storm in the hands of Donald Trump. He will call the shots for the storm. I kid you not. The Proud Boys thought that maybe January the 6th was the storm that Trump had decided that would be the day of the storm. Now, there was something very sinister recently, and that is reporters asked Trump when he is reelected, he will be a dictator. What did he say? One day. The first day. Aha. That's playing to his base in regard to the storm. What can he do on that first day? Well, he has said he's going to abolish the Department of Justice, but whatever else he has in mind, I don't know. I'll think about that. Redemption theorist is one that I sort of like, and I can't go into all the details where this comes from. They believe that the government has a certain amount of money for each person born in the United States that it is not releasing to us. Some of them say it's $1 million. Some say it's $630,000. Others say it's $250,000. Is that a nice idea to have? I'd take the 250,000. Now, the problem is they just don't know how to get it. They try all kinds of means. They don't pay their taxes, etc. It's a very complicated situation. You'll have to look it up on web and find all the details involved here. It's part of a larger movement that I should have put on the screen, and that is the sovereign citizen movement. You may have heard of that, which claims that the government should have no control over us. The Constitution is, well, the government, for one thing, is owned by the International Monetary Fund and British banks. And they do not obey, they do not get driver's licenses, they do not pay their tax, they file fake forms and write fake checks and go to elaborate efforts to bring a program about, but they've always been taken to court and always been found guilty. It's related to the militia movement, and mostly out west. But Michigan, of course, has its militia. Maybe Indiana does too. We don't hear about that so much anymore. It's also a white supremacist movement. That movement from earlier on has joined the sovereign citizen movement. Now, there's a local application to this. The sensational people in the newspaper from a number of years ago were the Bundy brothers. You remember them? The one was in Oregon, and he trespassed on federal land and claimed they had no jurisdiction over him. And his son was even more radical. He was herding cattle on government land in Nevada and wouldn't pay his fees. You know, our sheriff, Rogers, yes, put on his sheriff's uniform and went out there and stood with Bundy's son in Nevada against the federal government. He was also the sheriff who told the federal authorities they were not allowed in Elkhart County to inspect Amish milk production. Do you remember that? And they didn't come. I think they thought it wasn't worth it. But obviously, I never saw this in the paper. Did any of you see any claim that he was part of the sovereign citizen movement? I think he was. Because you see, the only level of government that the sovereign citizen movement accepts is the county government. And the county sheriff makes the law or enforces the law. So he was acting according to that idea. Where is Mr. Rogers now?
The county commissioner.
One of 3 county commissioners. Well, anyway, there's how a conspiracy theory affects us right now, in addition to the 2 previous. False flags, I will just speak about in general because I've already mentioned. This is the label that is given to the conspiracy theories that follow almost every mass shooting in the United States. Mass shootings are interpreted as being FBI or the government in some way initiating them in order to stir up people for gun control. Almost every one. That includes Sandy Hook, Las Vegas shooting, the Oklahoma City bombing, Parkland shootings, Columbine shootings, and others. That's the rationale. Or they say they never happened. That's another alternative. But the pictures are fake. There were actors, people who were pretending, just like the Holocaust. It's far enough away so you can say it never happened. So those are false flag events and the conspiracy theories that they lead to. That led to something in real life, as I pointed out. Alex Jones combating the parents at Sandy Hook and being fined for his ideas by the courts. The thing is that there have been conspiracies by our government that lead people to think, aha, another one coming out. Think about it. There was Watergate, right? There were the Pentagon Papers, which revealed government secrets about the Vietnamese War that people were not privy to. There was a government assassination attempt on Fidel Castro, cahoots with the mafia. CIA and FBI have been spying on citizens for many years, especially the FBI on Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers, the AIM movement, and Black Lives Matter. WikiLeaks exposes that surveillance by the government. The Bush administration came up with a conspiracy theory, didn't it? That Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and was somehow connected with 9/11. A tragedy ensued from that, including our current situation in the Middle East. In 1907 to 1979, the government forced sterilizations on African American and indigenous women. From 1932 to 1972, Tuskegee Institute experimented on syphilis with Black Americans. And even when there became a treatment available in 1945, they kept on doing it. They withheld syphilis treatment from the subjects who were in their experiment. I think Anabaptists like us have a reason to be suspicious of some things about the government. They always have been, after all. There's also the factor of our own beliefs. We can't be put off the hook. These considerations. I think most of us, the ones I'm going to cite right now, most of us at least half believed in them. In the 1980s, the police in Goshen, Indiana, told us in the newspaper and elsewhere that there were satanic practices in this neighborhood, especially by gangs. They found a remnant of a fire along the canal, but this was prevalent in the United States. But satanic influences were prevalent in community. The police gave seminars from here and there for parents and PTAs to tell them about Satanism in our community. Remember that?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
About subliminal messages in films. Disney films, those harmless Disney films have subliminal messages, Satanism, sex, whatever. Well, there's nothing to that, but we believed that, didn't we? I did. Dungeons and Dragons are satanic games. That's still a notion. Do you remember backmasking on records, the old turntable records? If you played the records backward, you would get a satanic message or a pornographic message. We believed that, didn't we?
No.
You don't have to raise your hand. How serious was the repressed memory syndrome? Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
That was promoted by the psychology establishment in the United States. The person who had that idea just died the last week or two. That was the notion that personality disorders were caused by physical and sexual abuse, especially satanic sexual abuse as an infant before the patient could remember those years. And it was the job of the therapist to bring out memories of those ritual sexual abuses so that there could be healing. Well, the psychiatric community rather silently put that aside. So think of all the people who were hurt by that. Some people were put in jail for abusing children. You remember that?
Yes.
Our own church had somebody who went here and there talking about repressed memory syndrome. So we're not off the hook in terms of believing in conspiracy theories. This has made me think a lot about belief. How many things in our life do we believe in without factual or scientific or historic evidence. Think about it. Now remember Hebrews chapter 1, verse 11. Now faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I'll read it again. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I had a horrible thought. I thought, is it possible that the resurrection of Jesus, conspiracy theory? Does thinking make it so, as Hamlet found? So what should we do with all these things in mind? Play nothing until something gets acted out, and you can tell that there are bad deeds as a result of one of these conspiracies. You're not going to change people's deeply held beliefs, right? Very easily. People have reasons for believing that are beyond your change. I have on the board, well, I don't have on the board. You can tell I haven't accommodated myself to technology. Oh, the way.
It's a teacher.
Oh.
Flags.
Okay. Snopes.com. How many have ever used Snopes.com? A few, a very few. That's a place to go to for fact checking. Type in what you heard, and you're likely to be taken to a site where somebody has analyzed the relative truth of it. It may be based on some little event or little idea back at a certain time. And whether it has any validity or not, you'll be told. There's a way to check on all these conspiracy theories, as well as urban legends, other things that you hear about and question. Go to Snopes.com. Those in literature will know where that Snopes came from. Also, we have on our side, or reasonable people have on their side, watchdog agencies who rely on the government, nonprofits who look, see what's going on and respond to conditions in the government. Thanks for them. And then there's the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. American Civil Liberties Union. Yes. I don't know how many are members of it. John Oyer was a faithful member of the Civil Liberties Union. That all Mennonites should be. That is one protection of our rights as a dissenting community, or anybody's rights. And we should be members of the ACLU who support justice and legal procedures in the United States. As I pointed out, some cases have gone to the courts and have been successful. Put an end. For instance, remember the Dominion voting systems? Went to court against Fox. I think another company did too. And the government ruled in their favor. Fox was spreading conspiracy theories about somebody in Venezuela, corrupting the machine and so on. Fox paid a big settlement. I think it wasn't dealt in court. I think it was out of court. Fox settled with Dominion. Rudolph Giuliani was fined $150 million for accusing those two poor women election workers in Georgia as for election fraud. Was taken to court, and I think he hasn't paid his fee and probably never will. But anyway, he was silenced. I think there's still some other court cases against him. Of course, I mentioned the Sandy Hook family and Alex Jones. So you can take things to court if you have enough money and it's important enough, and maybe the judges will rule against conspiracy theories. I think the basic things aren't going to change. Right now, we are in I think a moment most people would agree when conspiracy theories most abound, especially because of all the media, all the people who have access to the media, and all the people who are promoting it. Again, it's not the media, it's the condition of life, especially for certain underclass people who are poor, maybe without jobs, maybe African Americans, maybe Hispanic, people who feel alienated and oppressed. I don't know how we go about changing that, which means that we'll probably have conspiracy theories until that's better, if it ever is. Steven Pinker is optimistic. He's a philosopher, and he thinks that rationality will finally emerge in our civilization. Well, maybe. I list 4 sources where you can read more. And the obvious source for you would be to go to Wikipedia. They have a long article on conspiracy theory. It contributed to my presentation. And how many of you got the New Yorker? A few, okay. Newest issue has an article on conspiracy theories from the point of view of belief. What does belief mean? Who believes in what way and how much? You know, there's a question, do people have to believe these conspiracy theories, or do they casually believe, or do they deeply believe? And he takes up religious belief too. Okay, John, I'll go back to this. So borrow from your friends or go to your library. I haven't dealt with that question, but that's a big part of this. The nature of belief nowadays. A lot of people are talking about that. Here's a book from the library, which has at the end a survey that the author carried out with 3,000 people, presumably a scientific survey. And he deals with at least 20 different conspiracy theories. And he gives the percentage of belief from the most to the middle to the least for groups of people that he measured. It's very interesting. I think like all surveys like that, you have questions of how accurate it is. And he would say, you know, within so many percent. Interestingly, in the course of that survey, he added 2 conspiracy theories that don't exist. He made up 2 conspiracy theories. Let me see if I can find them. Okay. The United States Air Force covers up the role of 5G tech in the Dakota crash. Nobody, that has not existed as a conspiracy theory. But sure enough, the people in his survey believed that, or at least some of them, not overwhelmingly. So if you believe one conspiracy theory, you're likely to believe another one. Here's another one he made up. The political and medical elite, that's a key word. This underclass feeling oppressed by the elites, you and I, in our culture. Political and medical elites cover up how the COVID vaccines caused magnetic reactions. not only nonsense, but it's not a conspiracy theory. And that was one that people also responded positively to. Some, not all. And it's even gone so far that there are now jokes about conspiracy theories. All birds are spy drones in disguise. They have chips in them and they are spying on us. Now, that's a joke, but I think some people might say, oh. Anyway, I learned a lot in this. And it's a huge field. I'm not competent to work in it, so this is it. I'd be happy to entertain questions if I can hear them. I'm half deaf. John?
I greatly appreciate all the work you did on this. It really helps me a lot. So thank you, thank you.
Oh,
Now a question. And conspiracy theory, overlap or not overlap?
which,
Yeah.
9/11 is hard to comprehend. So in that sense, it's a mystery. How could it happen? So you try to give an explanation for it. Yes. I don't think that's the right word, that there is that element of knowing, and wishing you knew and creating a solution like in a mystery story. Yeah.
Is how much value is there in sort of loving the idea of mystery?
Of doing what to it?
Sort of valuing the idea of there are things we can't understand.
Yeah, sure. Intelligence, those are mysterious to me, Oh, yes, that's a very important motivation for it.
And in literature, is it mystery important?
In literature, sure. Sure.
So can you value in a
The fascinating subject, yeah. The thing is that you're working with beliefs, not narratives, so these are firmly held beliefs for so many people. Actually, our time is up, fellas.
Well,
I'm glad we didn't have time for questions because I'm almost deaf, so.
I really
This is-
appreciate,
This will be my last public presentation. I told Linford Martin no more because I suffer from the deformities of old age.
They didn't show up.
we have, thank you.